I'm your host, your guide, your brother, Sorcerer Manasu. So, it been a minute or 4 or 5. Now, I started off doing this whole thing called My Story. It was part 1. After much consideration, I decided, you know what? Fuck that. Um, it's not that my story wouldn't help or, whatever like that, or whatever the thing is. But for some reason, I can't get to past the part where it almost appears to myself, maybe not to you, but to myself, as if I'm whining or crying about this shit. And since I'm not, I ain't gonna do it. However, I will say this concerning my life. Foster father broke bones, and everything else underneath the sun to me and my next oldest brother. Uh, my next oldest was put in a bathtub of scalding hot water and then freezing cold water by religious zealots. Um, Lots of people we love died. Viewpoint and my thought was other stuff and what have you. I went on to try to become a minister. Hoorah. The only good thing I really got out of that is a shit ton of religious education. And let's see here. Oh, yeah. And then the best part of all, life sucked, but I got the fuck over it. Now, you might be saying, well, how is that anything? Well, let's just put it this way. Life in general, most of the time, sucks. If you're lucky for your life to have been rainbows and unicorns and all that, hoorah. But for the rest of us, to get over it, we have to get past it. We have to accept it. We have to embrace it. It's what happened, it's what was, but it is not what is or what will be. See, somewhere in all that, we get a decision, we get a choice to make. Are we going to be what those things try to make us? Or are we going to be the individual beings that we ourselves seek to be? Because we desire it. In the end, that is the only option we really have, is to be the person that we ourselves wish to be. I'm not degrading anybody that's been through worse or less or anything like that, so please don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying there comes a point where instead of holding on to it, you have to let it go. With that in mind, brings me to the point of why I wanted to do this video. Okay, so now I was talking about, wanting to actually go a little bit better, a little bit deeper into depth of certain things. I understand magic itself in a way that most do not. Okay? Doesn't mean I'm some great Pumbaa or whatever, sitting in the rain, in the clouds, chanting eternally and all this other shit. And it doesn't mean that I'm a sorcerer of the dark arts and the forbidden realms of the Clip-Off and the demons making forth destruction and war. No. No. I am my own beast. I am a beast of my own making. I took everything that caused me pain, everything that hurt me, and I transformed it into a strength. And to a degree, each and every one of you out there have to do the same. And you will have to figure out for yourself how to take that pain, how to take that loss, and how to transform it. In the magical community, we can use all kinds of fancy words. We can talk about everything from alchemy, transformation, to death and rebirth, and all this other stuff. Truth be told, you are going to have to find your own path, your own way. With that in mind, allow me to get a little bit underway of, as far as my belief system, the way my inner world works. The whole concept of keeping silent and all this, that, and the other will not have much bearing here. And you'll see why as I go on, because I don't tell you anything that you could not figure out for yourself from your own studies and your own practices. But for this, let us go back to ancient Egypt. Let us go back to the mythology or the belief system of the dead, of where the heart was weighed against the feather. The reason why I got the fuck over all the shit that happened is because I took a lesson from the ancient burial rites of the heart being weighed against the feather. If the heart was lighter than the feather, you could pass on. If not, you was fed to the crocodile god. It is not that I actually believe that there's some crocodile god that's going to eat me. Please, man, I'm either going to make the worst shit that thing ever had, or it's going to spit me out within, just a few seconds. Either way it goes, I do not go down easy or at all. But humor aside on this thought for just a minute here, let's go into some of the deeper constructs, the deeper reasoning, the system behind this whole thought. So, all the pain and all the grief and all the loss and all the hate and all the anger, all the rage, all the jealousy, all the poison that was in me acted like a weight. And it's not, and like I said, it wasn't because I honestly thought that my heart got weighed against a feather or anything like this, but I took this as a lesson. I take all things of mythology as lessons, as ways, as tools to be used to cultivate and create the personality that I desire, the image and form in which I wish to abide in. Whether it's spiritual, physical, mental, whatever, all the levels, all the planes. And how it started was with the feather. And I decided that I wanted my soul to be able to leave my body, to not be imprisoned by it. I did not want the earth to swallow me whole. And I did not want to be rejoined and have to redo the whole cosmic reincarnation thing and all this other stuff, unless that's what I chose and I decided. And then I spent years studying, researching all the concepts of death and rebirth and how they worked and so forth and so on. And through meditation and through communicating with spirits and so forth and so on, through invocation, conjuration, so forth and so on, I slowly developed my own belief system, my own method. Now, after I figured out how to release myself from bonds, from bindings, from chains, from all this other shit, the next thing to do was figure out how to empower myself. How would I empower myself? How would I become a stronger me without it being, how could I be a better me for real? Beyond the flesh, beyond my own mind, behind my own comprehension, beyond my own ego. How could I do this? Well, the next thing, or next lesson that I chose was one of fire. Fire doesn't just consume, fire refines. And I've used the term forge of souls, that life is a forge of souls. Well, psyche, soul, all the Greek words that you can throw a stick or a rock at, throw that out there. Do some research on psyche, on the soul, and on the Greek concepts of what that meant, so that you'll have a better understanding. But I wanted to abide beyond my own mind, beyond my own ego. I didn't want it to be something I had just made up in my head. I wanted something that was for real, for real. And the only way to do this was a true fire, a true refining, like a furnace. Oh, boy, did I step in a pile of shit. So I decided that the sun, maybe I couldn't worship Jehovah. Maybe I wasn't a Mithras man from Rome times. But I could dig Lucifer. Perfect. One short story I will tell is that when I was about 12, 13 years old, clear as day, sitting there with my eyes wide open, I had walked into my bedroom and all of a sudden, this bright light. And it was kind of weird because it was during the day, so, something brighter than that, really astounded me. I looked up and I saw this huge, huge lion on fire. And instead of freaking out, I was like, oh, that's fucking sweet. As soon as it hit the ground, it was as tall as I was, maybe just a little bit taller. And this is on its feet. huge lion on fire, orange, yellow, red. Oh my goodness! And it was giving off this tremendous heat. All of a sudden, it just turned into this man in a three-piece white suit, nice as all get out. Takes one look at me and says, "Come with me." I had that scared the shit out of me. I was cool with that thing being a lion, but as soon as it became a man, I had to go. Which is really weird because in Christian mythos they say that the devil roams the earth as a lion seeking whom he may devour. And that was the first thought that came in my head when I saw the lion. I kept thinking, oh, I could see that, I could see that. And then when it turned into a man, I had to go. The lion didn't scare me, but the man did. That's pretty messed up. But getting back on topic, I just wanted to throw that funny story out there. That was my introduction to Lucifer, by the way. That was, a being of light, of illumination, if you will. Any rate, so I needed a fire, and that's where I found Lucifer. And Lucifer was not just any fire. Lucifer was not just any flame. Lucifer was pure thought. Thought without motive. Thought that was designed, yes, but there was no motive. There was nothing common, run-of-the-mill, human-like. There's no, oh, I want this, or I want to bang that chick, or, anything like that. It wasn't, it was nothing like that. It wasn't that kind of intellect. It was a higher intellect. And I needed this higher intellect to remove from me my old ways of thinking, from belief systems, structures, all this other stuff. And so I started working with Lucifer, or more appropriately, the power known as the light bearer, to illuminate my mind, to shed light upon the darkened areas of myself so that I would know myself most perfectly. That was the second part. I'm not going to lie, sometimes it really sucks to know who and what you are, and sometimes it really sucks when other motherfuckers think they know you better than you know you. I have been accused of being the worst kind of vampire out there. And I'm just sitting there like, first off, vampiric qualities I get. Vampiric magic I get. The worst kind of vampire out there. I don't know how you can get the worst kind there is out there. You can be the worst kind of human possible. That would make sense. But the worst kind of vampire, it really never ever made any sense to me. And even though I was following a vampiric current and was working with them and all this other stuff, I thought it was kind of interesting. And then come to find out, it was just because of jealousy. Because I had fell in love with this girl. And she didn't want us together. And so I got called names, thinking that it would strike my ego, that it might, oh, I can't be called that. I'm better than that, blah, blah, blah. Because at the time, I helped people. Honestly, it wasn't about the money. It was about helping. If somebody helps you, give what you can give. Return the favor. But for me, people who truly help, they say that no selfless act is truly selfless, that it is selfish. And it is to a degree. It is to a degree. Because we all seek self-fulfillment, self-realization, self. You get the idea here. So any selfless act in and of itself is not truly selfless. But it can be in the sense of just desiring to help people who can't afford help, who don't know what kind of help that they need, but know that they need some. And this was an opportunity for me to be able to hone my skills and help somebody. And so I did this, and because of jealousy, I got kicked out of a magic shop that I was bringing in a hell of a lot of business for. And I was like, that's fine. And I thought it was funny that a month after I got kicked out, there were quite a few people who, when they found out I wasn't there anymore, decided, you know what? Fuck this store. There are other stores, even if they're 50, 75 miles out of the way. And some might call that karma, some might call it this, some might call it that, but it just is what it is. You know, you got to be careful how you treat the people that are helping you. No matter what you're wanting out of them, remember, they've got to live their own life too, and I had to live mine. Sorry, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm drinking coffee. That's what I do. Of course, I can't sleep, I haven't been able to sleep. Anyway, so the first one was a mythos about the heart and the feather, about removing the weights and chains. Second one was about the fire, and through the refining and honing of skill and ability. Now, what was my next one? My next one was that I needed momentum, something to keep going. Because you ever notice that a fire may burn, but you got to constantly keep fuel on it? So what is that inner drive? And this is where I had to let go. This is where I had to let go of my concepts, my precepts, my belief systems. I had to let it go. And I had to truly get honest with myself. Hey, Waylon, if there was nobody in this world that loved you, that you cared for, what would you be doing right at this moment? Well, I'd be doing such and such. Or if you have that, why aren't you doing it anyway? And I was like, very good question. Why ain't I fulfilling my will and doing this and doing that? And I found my introduction to the left-hand path, even though I'd been following a certain left-hand path. I hadn't really just given my all to it. I just hadn't worked at it, and it wasn't because I was scared of God and the devil and judgment. No, it was nothing like that. It was just, I don't know. I think to a degree, I think I was a little bit afraid of what it would cost. Because in magic, there's a cost. Now, they don't tell you this shit. But no matter what you do, there's a cost. And I'm not talking about some karmic return crap. No. But you got to think that the universe, as much as we think it's empty space, it is filled with something. But when you move something, something else has to fill its space. When you banish something from yourself or from your life, you have to invoke its opposite or what you want in it. Otherwise, something else is going to fill its space. And so, in this sense, nothing is free. And hopefully you can understand that concept that I just threw out there. See, this is part of the arcane mysteries. This is kind of part of my belief structure and the way it works, Now, these are all built on actual, fundamental, basic teachings of all things. But these are put in my words, my examples, so forth and so on. I don't know if they'll help you. Hopefully they will. I don't know. Let time and your own study, your own research, your own exploration give you your own answers, because nobody else has the answers but yourself. And sometimes you just have to tell that inner voice to shut up so that you can hear yourself. Because remember, there's in high magic, there was this saying that Aleister Crowley and all that, they were like biggest, like the speech against the sun was a term used. It's just a really fancy fucking way of saying be quiet. Now, if the sun is bright, it means that in the light there is sound, there is fullness, there's all these things. But the speech against the sun is the moon. And the moon was quiet, reflective silence. So, like I said, it was just a fancy way of telling you to shut up. Which I thought was kind of sweet. That was a good, I like their way of putting it better than mine. But mine's in English. So, you don't get confused. You just, there you go. You have it. Now, why am I opening up? Why am I telling these things? Why am I doing this? I have been doing some spell work for 2 years. And it just went off without a hitch. I've worked pretty much most of my life. I do manual labor. I'm happy with it. I love landscaping, fencing, all this stuff. I do what I love, and I love what I do. I love working with my hands, and I love working on the earth. It's just what I do. And I love working for myself. I always have. and no other bosses but myself, you know. Uh, but about 4 years ago, I started having difficulty walking, serious problems with it. Well, at first I didn't know what it was. At first I was like, the hell, maybe I'm just sore, maybe just something like that. When I started going to ER, trying to find out, I'd be standing on flat ground and all of a sudden just go flying forward because my hip locked up. I'd be like, what the hell? Uh, anyway, long story short, so it started getting worse and worse and all this other shit. I went to the ERs, to the doctors and shit, and they couldn't tell nothing was wrong. I had reconstructive hip surgery when I was 16. Steel rod, 9 pins in my leg, 2 screws in my pelvis, blah, 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 bunch of crap. Uh, but I was better, and I was able to walk again, even though as a child I was told I'd never be able to walk again. Yeah, right, whatever. Um, but, like I said, about 4 years ago, it started going downhill. 2 years ago, I started noticing a tremendous decrease in movement of just couldn't stand on my legs more than 10, 15 minutes. And that's crazy. It wasn't because of muscles or anything. It was just because I couldn't do it. I'd be in so much pain. Well, anyway, make a long story short, so I go and come to find out I have no hip and all this other stuff. And so, and no money and all this other stuff. And I'm like trying to figure out, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And I can't afford hip surgeries and all this other stuff, and when you do the kind of work I did, yeah, you really don't got no money saved up. You really don't. You're just living your life, man. So anyway, so I had to go and I had to apply for disability, and it was really looking really bad because I'm 39 years old, and I don't have a high school education or anything like that. The occult, I have no idea how I can take to it like I do, like a fish in the water, as they say. But I do. Some of the things I understand and how I'm able to like grasp it and put it together, fit it, and make it work. Uh, but I don't really have any skills. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, what am I gonna do? And all this other stuff. And then and so it was looking really bad. And I was like, I got to get a lawyer. And like, I'm getting a lawyer. And he's like, oh, this ain't looking too good. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, great, man. When the lawyer tells you you're fucked, you're fucked. So, so what do? I'm like, what do? I was like, well, first off, magical way. What are you gonna do, man? Well, I'm gonna light a candle, make sure it's on the right day and the right phase of the moon, all this other stuff, all the stuff you do in magic, when you're trying to get your spell work just right and you're trying to make it click and work. And so you go with the details of it. Plus, you have to go with your own inner power, and you build that up over time. But anyway, so, like, I'm sitting there, and I was, like, going through this. I was like, me and the wife finally getting to this place we can afford, low payments and all this other, low rent and all this other stuff, because we're trying to figure out how we're going to make it with me going down like I am. Well, anyway, so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I had been working with the Necronomicon, and I was like, I got to do this gate walk because I'm going to make these sales this year. It's the only year I can and all this other stuff. And I was like, and it wasn't doing it just because, it's something to fill my time. It was because it's something I've really been driven to, something, I've always been into, and just never went through the physical workings of it. So I sat down, and I'm like, contacting these, and I've always believed in these gods. Although, let me maybe put in a nutshell how I believe the gods to be. Okay, so you have these powers and these forces, and they just are what they are. They just exist, and they exist beyond our consciousness, okay? However, when you're interacting or you're connecting with them or anything like this, the mind is a gigantic processor. It kind of processes all the stuff that you're getting from them and all this other stuff, and it comes across as voices or advice or all this other stuff. Make it short and simple. But at any rate, and so when they come through, we call them by names, which is like a mask or a face that we give them, that we work through. It is not necessarily that they're not real. They're just not real on the level that we understand real to be. They exist completely in their own way. same as we do, according to them. But with that being said and done, getting back to my thing here though, I sat down and I was like, I've been hearing this great deal about making packs. I've heard this my whole life. I was like, whatever. So I was like, I sat down and I've been working on the great work, which is, doing your true will and all this other stuff. Working through high magic, Thelema, Golden Dawn, and stuff like that. And I'd gotten up to the grade of Magus, which is really hard to do. Not going to lie. And before you can pass to the grade of Magus, the grade before you, which is the Hierophant, the curse must be lifted. For some of you out there at the Black Tower, I've told you the story. We've sat and talked about it ad nauseum on Skype. But anyway, but part of entering into it, of the Magus, is that you have to take a magical system that already exists, and you have to show your mastery of it by rewriting it, representing it, so forth and so on, in a way that can actually be done and gain results from. Now, it's like, I'm going to do this with the Necronomicon because that's my jam, and that's what I love that, Well, when I went to working with this and everything else, and I'd been working with my watcher for like over 20 years, and I was like, finally, and I'd been hearing this great deal about, everybody like, oh, do magical packs. I was like, I don't know, I've never had to do a magical pack, but hell with it. I need help, and I need it, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get it, so some of the few of these beings, and I'm like, look, you'll help me obtain this, I'll do this for you. Talking about, making the videos, teaching people about the system and all this other stuff. So it was part of a pact. It was part of an agreement. And this is a breaking of silence on it, but the reason why is because the spell has been cast and its results are gained. And I'll explain that in a minute. But anyway, so I spent the next year doing my gate walking and all this other stuff, and then doing the videos and everything. And come towards the end of a year of it, I sat there and I was like, do I continue or do I stop? Because I had known I was, I started seeing visions of it, just success, and I knew it was right there. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, even though everything else was telling me no. I was getting the impression I was, and I was like, okay. Well, then came the time that I actually found out that, I had. Now I can go get the surgeries I need. Now I can go get the procedures done. Now I can go get this, get that, get fixed and repaired and all this other stuff. And I was left with the thing of, do I continue or do I stop? And it was funny, about 2 weeks ago, I sat there and I decided, you know what? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep doing this. Only I'm going to turn this around a bit. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth and detail how to do this. So I'm not going to be revamping my videos and doing some of the better details for it and so forth and so on, because I have a saying I like to say, a motto: may the gods walk again. And what that means is, may mankind become aware of the gods that they are, and unto their own godhood, their own sacred star within them, their own sacred god star within them, so forth and so on. And then a day or so ago, I saw that video with Joe March doing his finale of that, and I was like, wow. Now that's synchronicity. That is some weird stuff. But I also understand where guys coming from. Sometimes you have to totally clear the board. You have to. It's that Saturnian thing. It really is. It's where everything must be turned to ash. And like the phoenix, you rise from it. You really do. Am I going to miss Joe's video? Oh, hell yeah. I love my boys' videos. But I'm going to keep contact, talk to them? Hell yeah. Because we're brothers. That's what brothers do. That's what family does. But I bring all this out to say, it's taken me 2 years to get to the point where I'm at, and it's been 4 years of having nothing. Where do you go with that? Where do you, as a practitioner, as a sorcerer, as a black adept, as a magician, as a witch? I mean, when everything looks like shit, and everything is just fucked, where do you put that? Do you decide to rise above it? Do you eat and devour all that crap and transform it, transmute it into a design that you desire? Or do you just give up? Well, if it's meant to be, it'll be. I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm one of those people that just, you tell me I can't, and I say, let me show you. And that's hard-headed, but that's years of being told I couldn't. That's years of being told this, that, and the other. And then finally one day, I was just like, hell no, hell no. You'll never be able to walk again. I can walk. Oh, you'll never be able to do this. No, I can't. You know, so forth and so on. Oh, you've got to have this education. You got to have this, and you got to have that. And yet, for everything in my fucking life, will, desire, a well-formulated plan. And then I carried it out. Not just with magical spells and rites, but with physical actions. I made the calls. I made the trips. I did this. I did that. That is the true power. To desire it. And when you desire it, formulate a design or a plan. Do the magic to back it up, and then physically take the steps. It all changes and it all transforms, but it does so only because of you. When I get on here and I say peace, blessings, and power, I mean it. I wish you, each of you, peace, peace of heart, mind, and soul, blessings. Bless yourself. Bless each other. Power. Know yourself, know your capabilities, and do it. That's power. So with that being said and done, to each of you, my brothers and sisters, my old viewers, my new viewers, to all my friends out there, peace, blessings, and power. Till next time.